Hello, everyone. Hello. Yeah, welcome to another week of the YOM Town Hall. If you don't know who I am, my name is Jeff Outlaw. I am the CXO of YOM. And if you're only just now introduced to YOM, what we are is a decentralized cloud gaming network. We are a cloud gaming network that allows people to play high quality, AAA quality Unreal games through the web browser on any device. So it's a small laptop or mobile device, phone. We do this because we have built a network of gaming rigs around the world, and we use those gaming rigs to power our network. If you have a gaming rig and want to earn passive income by loaning your gaming rig to our network when you're not using it, we pay you to allow us to use it to stream game content to people who are hitting the websites of all these projects. So that's what we do. It's a innovative system. There are other cloud gaming systems out there, but they're all centralized in a big central server building someplace. And it turns out those enterprise machines aren't as good as your laptop, your gaming rig at home, which is interesting to find out. And it's very expensive. Those central server models are the prices are being driven up by AI, which is sucking in all the GPU cycles at these central servers. And then lastly, those big buildings, they're environmentally damaging, and every time they have to build another one, they've got to displace all the trees and all the land there, and then all the costs to run the air conditioning and the maintenance costs and all those things. All those costs get passed on to our developers. So our streaming cost is about 95% lower than what Amazon would you pay through Amazon. So today we have a special guest. We're going to have the founder of the Diamante Chain here with us in a moment. But let me just give a quick rundown of some updates for our community to update you all on where we are with the project, what we've accomplished in the past week, and some of the exciting things coming up. So, as we said last week, we've got a couple of big conferences coming up in at the end of this month. There will be two of the founders heading to Token 2049 in Dubai, and then I will be going to Games Latam down in Sao Paulo to attend that massive gaming conference. So we have again the two-sided market there where we help gaming projects and we have the token end of things. So hitting both conferences into this week. Another thing to note is that our alpha test went live 2 weeks ago today. So we're getting a lot of data that we needed. This has been super helpful to us. We're finding out things like the various home internet plans have how they play into our system, how the different gaming rigs play into our system. There are things there to make it easier or harder to onboard people. So we figured out a lot of things there. And again, this is just further delegated, further highlighting the importance of having the delegated nodes, which is the next item. So starting next Thursday, we had the OG, those people who were put on the allow list or made it onto the allow list, the OG node sale will go on sale. There's only 400 of those available. And that's, I think, it starts at noon on the 24th. So if you're watching after the 24th and you're on the allow list, you probably have missed out already. They should be selling pretty fast. It's just a limited number. So those delegated node licenses, those are getting ready to go out next week. And then the last update, and it's actually probably my favorite update. I get goosebumps every time I see it. But if you go to the yom.net website right now, you'll see that we have Valley of the Ancients, the demo game that's running on Unreal, running in our website. Now, it depends on what region you're in. If it's activated for you, if you're in regions where nodes aren't there yet, you're not quite active. But if you are, say, in Europe, near Amsterdam, Belgium, Germany, that area, it is really fun to see Unreal running inside of an iframe on the web page. This is we've been seeing it inside of Telegram for a while now. One of the aspects that we have about our network is that you can stream these games through Telegram. But seeing it on the website just really sings to me. Every time I see it there, I get very excited. So that gives you a good understanding of where we are and project updates. Let me bring on Andy because Andy's going to help today with the co-hosting. And
hello, everyone. Very excited, very happy.
Yeah.
And let me sin alcohol beer as well, just to keep me on track.
I'm going to bring up CJ. Chirag Jetani is the founder of Diamante. I have described CJ as a visionary in the Web3 landscape. And as a forward thinker in the Web3 space, you excel at transforming ambitious ideas into reality. Passionate about the potential for crypto and blockchain technologies, Chirag is committed to pioneering advancements that push the boundaries of what's possible. His strategic leadership and deep industry knowledge fuels a continuous innovation and growth at Diamante, we're partnered with Diamante. We're very happy to be on with you guys and to help the games that are being built in Diamante. But welcome to the town hall.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me here. And by the way, someone is writing really nice words for me. So
good stuff.
Very good.
Yeah.
So for people who don't know you, and I've been watching some interviews to get familiar, but can you give people just a quick introduction about your background, where you got started, how you went to school, and what got you into blockchain back in the day?
So it's a very weird background that I have, and how I landed up in Web3 is, it's a completely hilarious story. So okay. I'm an engineer by background, did my biotech, then I did a couple of my masters in chemical engineering, biological engineering. I was doing my research, and I decided, okay, I don't want to do research anymore. I want to build some businesses, had some wonderful ideas in terms of how we can, actually change the world with real life use cases. And with all these ideas, once, everything was jumbling into my mind, I decided to start a microbrewery.
Why not?
Well, yeah, love it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So it took a 180 turn. Then I met a couple of friends. They were working on blockchain. They were doing really cool stuff. It really got me excited on what exactly is the potential of the tech. I did a research for like 6 months, 1 year, until I decided, okay, let me do something that is good. And we were really inspired by how Ripple was trying to change the world, how Ripple was trying to change how the money flows around the globe. And that's where we saw the potential, like, okay, this is something really big. The real life use cases can be built in a larger scale. Until date, to be very honest, we have been trying, and I think a lot of other Web3 companies have been trying, but to build those real life use cases in that larger scale, it's still not that possible. It's like very nascent in terms of where blockchain is. And we at Diamante, we are doing our best in terms of how we bring tech to the tech ecosystem, to a lot of industry players who are building on us, a lot of retail participants. But more or less, everyone forgets, like, people are always building, to throw it to the audience. And no one is actually really building on what the audience is demanding. Like, what exactly is required for the world. Like, we have seen, a bunch of networks, like everyone talks about the transaction, the speed, the TPS, a lot of dApps building on them. It's the same, pure vanilla play every network does. And that is something, on a personal level, I really don't like. And that's something that we are changing at Diamante. We can definitely discuss more about what we are doing at Diamante, but that's just about me.
Yeah, I'd like to hear, like, what kind of things you do to make it not look like every other chain. What kind of things do you do to encourage it being different?
Yeah, that's how we are different, right? We don't like to make the things look like what people want to see. Like, everyone is morely focused on the tokenomics, like, okay, how the token economics can grow, the token can grow. But we have been building Diamante since past 7 years, and that's a long time. So until this year, early this year, we decided to, okay, it was a good time, and even the community was demanding, like, okay, let's get the token out. But more or less, what we are focused on is, we at Diamante are building the app stores for the blockchains.
Okay.
Right. We have like, when we see like lots and lots of blockchain ecosystem, but imagine after 5 or 10 years down the line, how many blockchains would actually survive? How many layer ones would actually survive? And the reason is, like, how many actually layer ones people require to build upon. Like, right now, every project, like you guys are building cool stuff, or I get daily updates on what all of the projects, cool projects are doing. But it's about creating those worlds where it's actually more and more beneficial in terms of people trying to build. So, like, you don't have to worry about choosing the network to build upon. Right now, let's say, even if I want to launch my project, if it's a cool project, I can thrown over with grants from, let's say, 5 different chains. So I'm very humbled with the. So I'll get very humbled with the numbers that are thrown to me, and I'll forget about what actually I wanted to build. And that's the biggest challenge right now, and that's what Diamante is all about. When you see, when I say that, okay, it's an app store for the blockchains, you don't need to worry about on what chain you are building. You can easily integrate. It's about interoperability, and that's the nature that we are building at Diamante. So like three different consensus put together in a single layer: POS, POH, and ABFT in a single layer, which allows our AI optimizer to identify what kind of a transaction is coming from a project or a retail or something, and it matches those transactions in the ledger.
Now it's
So
now you.
Nice.
It's the speed. From what I understand, the speed is supposed to be just tremendous, like really much higher, or at least much higher than you generally get with a lot of the layer ones. Am I right to say that speed is one of the things that Diamante's focused on?
speed is definitely something, like it's a very important aspect of it. And like I was listening to you speaking to your community in terms of like, okay, the cost that you're reducing the cost than AWS. So it's all about, at what particular cost you're attending the speeds and the scalability. It's about the infra, right? You can put a lot of infra in place and you can achieve like tremendous speed, but at what cost?
Right.
So it doesn't become that inclusive when if the costs are higher. And that's what we have exactly achieved at Diamante, like at a very minimal cost. At the current version that we have right now, we're on V1 version, where it is, a different mechanism that we bring to the consensus side of it. And we have already did an alpha launch for our V2 version, where we are putting all these three consensus together. So it's going to be a completely different layer that is coming to the market that is more or less quantum resilient, built for the future. So with that, we have achieved already like more than 200,000 concurrent transaction per seconds at a very minimal infra cost. Like for a full validator node, you don't need to spend more than like $200 or $300 for a month, even if you're using AWS.
Okay.
Wow,
Nice.
good.
So
Yeah.
now all this factors into the reason why I ask all these questions about the speed, and again, I think security is the other end of the equation. So with games, right? Much of it, if you're going to build a game that's using blockchain, a lot of it's going to rely on having speed that's super fast. It's almost as transparent to the player. They can't have you don't want the game to slow down to do any kind of transaction if that's what's going to happen inside the game. And then it has to be secured because people have put a lot of time and effort into their game items, and they don't want to have anything slow it down or break it for them. So are those two of the features? And you think that the reason why Diamante is attracting game projects to it?
Absolutely. And also the hybrid nature to it. Yeah, like you don't always need to, the decentralization is a very important aspect, but you always cannot, just focus on making it like just purely a Web3 ecosystem kind of a thing.
Right.
So the hybrid nature would allow, more and more users from the Web2 ecosystem also come to the Web3 space and bring, see, like gaming has been evolving since like lots and lots of years, and we have seen beautiful games. We have played beautiful games throughout our childhood. I'm not sure about you, but like I'm almost 35 now, so I played games, just getting out of my school, went to
A
the
little
gaming
bit
parlors.
older, just a little
Yeah.
bit, CJ,
Yeah.
like 1 or 2 years.
So we have all, skipped the school sometimes playing games in the gaming parlors out there, like the cyber cafes and everything. But the current generation doesn't have realized like, okay, what is actually, the gaming perspective of like before 20 years. And now when we see, the nascent stage of the Web3 gaming ecosystem, so it's similar kind in terms of like what games we used to play 20 years back, a similar kind of experience we can get these days in terms of if we see where after 5 or 10 years the Web3 gaming will be. So the hybrid nature that we bring to the table for the projects to build upon us, so that's going to be massive in terms of just not relying on the speeds and the transaction flows and everything, but it's important to have the communications of our audience and like just merge web 2 and web 3 and bring something to the table that is more relevant, which has more users, ultimately it's being built for the users. And if we cannot get those users in place, nothing is relevant. And that's why Diamond is very attractive. Yeah.
It does sound very because I've been in gaming for about 25 years, and just went to the most recent gaming conference here in the States, and it is still an industry that's keeping Web3 at arm's length, which is surprising to me. I mean, there are some great Web3 games being made now, and progress is being made, but the general game industry is still very leery of trying to understand how to bring the blockchain into their technology. I think what you're talking about, having a hybrid approach, should make it easier then for those people who are a little more hesitant to come on board and take a look at what Diamante does as they try to integrate blockchain. Is that fair to say, you think?
Do you know what I was going to say here, CJ? One thing I liked, and I'm going to pick on what you said right at the start, actually, that I thought was really important. It's about designing your chain to be useful. Yeah, it's about listening to what the customer's looking for and matching it, as opposed to saying, yeah, we've got X amount of billion transactions at zero cost. It's like, well, if people don't need a billion transactions at zero cost, what's the point doing it? So it's about listening to the requirement of the client and thinking, right, okay, what do games need to run, blockchain? And there's got to be this kind of ubiquitous, kind of, using Jorit's favorite word. Hopefully he heard me doing that. But it's about making people not see the blockchain. Just really kind of, what am I looking to, what's the problem I'm solving? How do we do it? And it sounds to me like that's your goal, is it? Would that be fair?
Absolutely. Like, just to, relate more on what you said, like if we are using Android or iOS, we just think about, okay, how usable the applications are, how usable the phone is before choosing what phone we choose. We don't really care about how iOS operates or how Android operates. No one gives a shit about that, to be precise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. So that's what is important. So that when we are building alongside, good projects like you, we always listen to them, what is required. And we have done this since last 7 years. And that's why, we are very different. Even before we did our token launch, to have more than 100 projects building on us, it was, really phenomenal. Because we are not giving that huge grants. We are not giving that, big dollars to people just trying to build on us. So it's about the infra that we provide that is more easily suitable for them, what they are doing. And, still I feel Web3 gaming is more on an experimental level kind of a thing, how people react to it, how the audience are reacting to it. A lot of projects, a lot of games are building to, just attract users, but more or less, more than 95% of people are playing the Web2 games. And so everyone is just trying to figure out like how we pull the audience from Web2 to Web3. And, for me, it is very important, to monetize things. Until and unless there is a financial benefit or a monetary benefit, it's not going to happen in that way. So assets that we bring from Web3 space, by monetizing different, let's say, elements in the game and keeping it secure would be the first, thing that if I'm building something. Because when people, like, let's say 80% or 90% of people, when they hear about crypto, it's like, oh, it's volatile, it's not safe, it's majorly used for, moving money for here and there. And it's like, because even in the blockchain, like in the, let's say, other use cases, like even for finance and everything, a lot of chains have done and built beautiful use cases, but the adoption is not on that level because people are very, resistant to the change in terms of how they see blockchain. Because whenever we hear about blockchain, it's all about crypto and it's volatile. Okay, if you want to gamble, let's say you can do maybe 5% of your portfolio into crypto just to test it out. So people don't actually realize what potential blockchain has. And Web3 gaming has a huge potential. And down the line, 5 years, if we're going to have this conversation, it's going to be completely different. We'll not talk about, let's say, we'll talk about, let's say, 50% ratio, 50 to 50 ratio of Web2 and Web3 gaming. So imagine the potential and the scalability of the Web3 gaming. So if you are in the right now, and if the projects, awesome projects like you are building on us right now, we are very proud about it. And it's going to change how people hear.
Yeah, when we have discussions with studios who are so our system doesn't require that the game have any kind of Web3 interaction. It can be just a normal Unreal project. But the ones who are using Web3. We help them by integrating their wallet into our SDK, and then it makes it nice and seamless because you're using through a browser. But when I talk to development studios about should I or shouldn't I Web3, they've been doing virtual currencies forever inside of games. All this is saying is taking your virtual currency and allowing the person to take that virtual currency and go and bring that value to the outside world, or put more value back into your world through virtual currency. And that helps people along. I know that the audience, anyways, is already ready for virtual currencies because they spend money all the time on virtual items and virtual worlds. So it's not going to be hard to bring the audience aboard. It's really about getting developers on board.
And also making them feel secure. Like, okay, if they are, if people feel secure, they are it's easily convertible to, like it's easily sellable, any product, if the security is the biggest aspect.
Yeah. Now, the other aspect about our technology that I don't know that we've ever walked you through the whole thing, but because we're allowing these 3D projects to stream through any URL, what we consistently say is we're building a backbone for the 3D internet. Like we will allow people to go. We already have the ability to go from one URL to another URL without ever leaving the 3D world. This is how the metaverse and the version that the 3D internet that you would think of can happen. This, of course, will still need a really fast, a fast blockchain, secure blockchain to put all that back, because beyond gaming, it's going to be things like social media and commerce that'll happen in 3D on the internet, just on screens where people already are. Have you given much thought to the idea of the 3D internet and the 3D, what that would mean for not just gaming, but other aspects of entertainment and commerce?
Yeah, absolutely. And for example, let's say building a virtual university where people can learn. And we have seen, beautiful projects already, in a very nascent stage trying to build that. And we have seen even the healthcare, like we have already seen this in healthcare, where we have seen, robotic surgery already happening.
Right.
But it's just about putting up a right name to it. We have already seen during the COVID times, the virtual classrooms and everything. So it's more about, having those experiences built more in a more immersive way. So definitely what you guys have been doing in that way, it's already, in the place where people can easily adopt to it. And the most important factor is it would reduce the cost by using the whole decentralized infrastructures in place.
Yeah, that's the thing that's keeping it from happening right now, is it's so expensive to run off the central servers. It's also problematic just because it doesn't have as much reach as you do when you live somewhere that you're using the person next door is not literally next door, but using the computers in an area close by to you. It's much better than having to travel many, many miles distance for the speed of the signal transfer. So yeah.
So if I'm not wrong, so maybe I just are you guys, more or less doing like Airbnb for the gamings, like just?
I like it.
Yeah,
we'll definitely take that strap line, by the way, CJ, and that'll be on that pitch deck before you've even blinked. By the end of this conversation, John will have it on.
Andy, I don't know if you have any other questions I haven't brought up.
Well, do you know what I was going to say? I mean, look, it's really nice to meet you, and we've had really good conversations so far with your team. They've been super helpful. I think there's an interesting bit around what you talked about, how many layer ones there needs to be. And if you look at the top kind of crypto projects in the last bull run and then the one before, there's a lot of names that you don't see there anymore, because again, exactly as you said previously, they just launched a blockchain and it was pretty similar to everyone else, but they didn't have the security element. So they got hacked and trashed, which we've seen with quite a few, or they had no real USP, or they didn't listen. They just basically, got this, this is what I'm going to do, and didn't come back on it. I think from what you're saying here on how Diamante is going about things, sounds great, and I think there's multiple use cases that you could do. And if you guys, which it sounds like you will be, as successful as XRP, which seems to be, is XRP in number 2-3 slot or something like that at the moment? I think they've overtaken Solana now, haven't they? Is that right? Or
Yeah, they have overtaken us.
Yeah. Yeah, and by the way, if we're going to go on strap lines, I did like, there was something where I read on Diamante, it's like, what was it? Faster than, I can't remember. Was it faster than
Solana, more secure than Bitcoin, or as secure as Bitcoin, and as flexible or as flexible, as Ethereum.
So let me do that. So it's
please, brilliant.
Yeah. So the security of Bitcoin, the utility of Ethereum, and the speed of Solana put together in a single network, that's Diamante for you.
There you go.
That's it. And delivered. Yeah, brilliant.
You might have delivered that line once or twice.
Yeah. I was going to say, actually, we've got a couple of questions coming in on the from various. I mean, I'm sure you know, CJ, we're on, you can probably see us, we're on YouTube, live on Twitter, and on LinkedIn. So there's a few good questions coming in, which are actually aimed at you, which is probably a good pointer. There is one on here, though, which I think maybe is for you as well, CJ, because bearing in mind what you said about Diamante, and it's Conan Callan. I don't know. Do you want to? Sorry, Jeff, I'm jumping in there. Do you want to do the questions now?
No, go ahead, Andy. No, take it. That was good.
Yeah, I was going to say this is a good one for you to answer. Blockchain equals super high fees to move your money around. Now, I think we all know the answer to that one, but maybe you want to take it from a Diamante perspective and give us a kind of costing on how cheap Diamante's traction is.
Yeah, it all depends. Like generalizing the answer, it all depends on what kind of blockchain you're using to transfer your assets.
Yeah,
and there are lots and lots of like zero fee transfer as well. A lot of platforms coming through it, but at Diamante we are very near zero. It's like 0.00044 zeros and 1 DM.
Wow, amazing
for a transaction fee. So it's like
hold on, 1
near
DIA.
zero.
And how much is a DIA trading at the moment? So what does that work out in cents?
It's like 1 cent. So if you 1 cent divided by 4 zeros, so it's going to be very, very, very less. So
two more zeros, I think.
Yeah. So there's an interesting point here. Actually, we were talking yesterday about Solana, and Solana transactions are now at 1 cent, which again means you can't do transactions in gaming on that. You could do big transactions. It doesn't matter if you're buying a house or something like that, but it cuts out a massive chunk of the market if it's 1 cent to do a transaction, doesn't it?
Yeah, and also it depends on like if there is a higher transaction cost, then how many actual events a project that is building they're putting on actually the blockchain side of it, because people don't require blockchain all the times when they're building any product. So it depends on like if they want to put each and every event that is happening on their application on the network, the transaction cost has to be very, very, very low.
Yeah.
So even if let's say,
yeah.
So with the network, like even if the DM becomes $1, and I hope it becomes someday, and I'm very sure it will become someday. So even if it becomes $1, even the transaction fee will be $0.00001.
Yeah.
So
a quick fun punt here. When YOM gets to $1, which it's the when there, not if. Yeah. When YOM gets to $1, we're all getting YOM tattoos. I assume when DM gets to $1, you're going to get a DM tattoo as well, are you?
I don't, I'm not that big fan of
that. You're a bit apprehensive there, going, right, if I say this live, it's going to be recorded, and then everyone's going to have to get it done. But Jeff, do you want to? There's a couple of questions there.
A couple more questions.
Leo Tom's quite a good one.
Yeah, so Leo Tom's asked, with next-gen games demanding sub-second responsiveness, how does Diamante's ABFT plus POH hybrid model specifically optimize in-game actions sync without sacrificing decentralization?
So it doesn't have to, so if we have the triple layer consensus, it doesn't have to, all the three consensus mechanism working together, like in tandem. So as I earlier mentioned, like the AI optimizer that we have, it identifies what kind of transactions are being relayed, and it reduces a latency of what is happening in the concurrent way. So it makes sure on the AI ecosystem that whatever networks or whatever applications that we are communicating with, it becomes almost near zero latency, and that's why we are able to achieve these high speeds.
Wow. Okay. And then the follow-up question to that was, what technical or narrative advantage do games gain by integrating Diamante's quantum resilient SDK compared to building on standard EVM-based chains?
So when we talk about quantum resilience, it's a very important aspect, and we are like, as I mentioned earlier in our conversation, like we like to listen to people, and that is the reason. Like during Token 2049, we are doing a hackathon in Dubai, like with more than 200 students and a couple of universities, where we are actually doing a day of ideathon, where we want the millennials to throw in their ideas that are better than us, so that we can incorporate that. So one day we are doing the ideathon, and the second day we are it's like a day where people will just contribute to the network. And that's how we are building on it. And when we say, okay, how quantum is important, like we have already seen Microsoft, we have already seen Google speak about quantum, and already in a later stage of releasing quantum computing power. And if down the line 5 years or 10 years, if the quantum computing is there, the thing is all the assets become more and more unsecure. So let's say Web3 gaming ecosystem just started, and we are seeing monetization of assets within Web3 games, people, tokenizing everything. And a day comes when their assets in the gaming ecosystem becomes unsecure. So it's important to, not just talk about the quantum resilience side, and it's all to build. And that's what we have done. We started a non-profit quantum alliance, and we are giving our SDKs for free just for people to contribute and try upon. And which makes sure, let's say, if your assets in the Web3 ecosystem, gaming ecosystems are distributed and traded, those assets becomes more and more quantum resilient. And why not do it today? Then do it when the threat is already out there. So
right.
Sorry, I'm going to sound really thick here. I get the idea around quantum compute and how basically it's going to become not almost impossible, but at the moment, passwords are going to get hacked in 2 minutes. How is the quantum resilience SDK stopping kind of hacking and that kind of space? So imagine I'm 5 and explain that to me. I am 5.
So
yeah.
So when you talk about passwords, 2 minutes, it's a huge time. If it is quantum computing, your passwords are even like maybe 2 microseconds. Yeah. And it's not about the password. Let's say even if we have the hash, the cryptography that in place, like we all know that. So if the cryptography is a huge set of combinations of letters and numbers, even that can be broken within split seconds. Yep. So how we are doing is, like, when we talk about, like, we won't reveal exactly how we are doing it because it's a trade secret, but for anyone to understand how we are doing it. So if you have a private key, if you have a password or a private key, so when there is a hacker, they try to match the combinations. But with the quantum resilient infrastructure architecture in place, your private key that is shown or that is generated, it keeps on changing every few seconds, so that even if someone is trying to hack you, it's like having your door lock combination change every minute. So, and even people who know the code, they cannot be break it.
Nice. We did get a third question from Leotan. But I don't know that this is really going to be one that you would answer. I'll throw it out there. How does Diamante prevent hyperinflation or speculative abuse while keeping rewards meaningful for real gamers, not just grinders? And to my mind, that's probably more a question for the game developer than it is for Diamante, the service, right? To keep the game economy correct and not hyperinflating. That's going to be in the hands of the game developers, I'd imagine. But do you have any kind of guidance? Have you talked to any of the game projects about how they handle their in-game economies?
So first of all, every developer wants to hype what they are doing, and it's very important to stay modest when they want to hype something. So ultimately, if you are not rewarding your community and the ecosystem, it's something that is not going to be beneficial to you in a longer run. So it's always depends on project to project. We advise them to do it, but every mine is different, every project is different. So
yeah. All right. All right. We covered a fair amount of ground. Anything we didn't cover about Diamante that you think that we should really spend some time talking about?
I think we covered most of it, and more or less through your audience, I would just like to relate that. Okay, if you have some cooler ideas, if you want to participate in building for the future, just bring it to us. We are very, very good listeners, and we adopt very sooner than later. So we would like to, build something that is, more or less beneficial for every one of us, so that we see the whole Web3 ecosystem growing. It's not about just Diamond growing. We want to see YOM grow. We want to see every project that is building on even the other chain grow. It's not about us. It's about the whole ecosystem and the industry. Let's all grow together. And if the industry grows, ultimately YOM would grow, and ultimately Diamond would grow.
Yeah, we're very much in the same mindset. Yeah, let's help. The rising tide rises all ships. Yeah. So Diamante.io is where everyone can go to get more information about Diamante. And I'll have your socials also linked in the whole link tree. I think is going to be in the description for the video. Andy, any parting words?
Well, two things I was going to say. One is we'll see you at 2049. I take it you're going to be there. Myself and Jorrit will be there. Jeff, unfortunately, won't be this year, but we'll be there. So we'll come and say hi for the hackathon. And I'm sure Jorrit will have some interesting ideas for you to kind of take away. He's got lots of, kind of smart guy, and he has lots of interesting stuff. I'll probably come and offer some very basic ideas, but there you go. The second final bit, actually, a question for you. Diamante, the name, where's it from? What made you choose it? What's the kind of thinking behind it?
Yeah, so my family, like since more than 30 years, our family business is diamonds. And,
okay.
Yes. Yeah. So it's like we wanted to build as something that is as strong as diamonds, and that's where the Dutch and kind of improvisation of diamonds as Diamante.
Like it.
Very good. Fair enough.
Yeah, cool, good, and nice to have something that's at your heart. I think it makes
the family. That's nice.
Yeah,
all right,
brilliant.
And just a final word: if you're coming during Token 2049 during a hackathon, we also have a very, very cool side event. It's like on a Dubai sunset. It's going to be proof of sunset. So just a chill event with fire shows, belly dancing. It's going to be in a cool night for all the partners and the people.
And I'm not going to be there, man.
Don't tell Jeff. Whatever you do, don't tell Jeff.
I went last year, and the way there, I was stuck in an airport for 33 hours because I got on the plane just as the floods hit Dubai. So I stayed in Doha for 33 hours at the airport. You guys can enjoy Dubai this year. Really enjoy it for me and take pictures, and then that's enough for me.
Well, hopefully, fingers crossed, no rains this year. Well, CJ, we'll look forward to seeing you there.
See you soon.
Very good.
See you soon.
Brilliant. All right. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in, and be good. We'll be back again next week. This is YOM signing.